How will we supply food in the future? We're already 8 billion human beings around the globe. How will we supply water in the future? Where will we all live? What will we do with new viruses? These are big questions of humanity, and you want to know something? Israel is at the forefront of meeting those challenges all over the world.
The conversation about Israel at 75 would not be complete without a reference to the Holocaust. From 1941 to 1945, 6 million Jews were slaughtered by the Nazis. It was the worst of many calamities that have befallen the Jewish people. This horrific event propelled the establishment of Israel, providing a home for over 100,000 displaced Jews who survived the Holocaust. These resilient heroes who had been through so much have been integral to building the state. Mania Herman, who at 8 years old miraculously survived a death march, made her way to Israel after the war, and today is the proud matriarch of 3 additional generations of Israelis, all continuing to build the country. We met with them at her home in Haifa.
הייתי ילדה בת 8 אז. התחילו לגרש אותנו להליכה ברגל, ומי שלא היה מסוגל ללכת ירו בו. שיירת המוות קראו לזה. ביום השלישי אמרתי, אני לא מסוגלת יותר ללכת. נשקפתי, התקרב אליי חייל עם רובה ישר לירות בי. אמי נשקה את רגליו והתחננה אל תהרוג לי את ילדתי היחידה, והתחילה לברך אותו. אבא שלי אמר, אני זורק את הכל וככה לוקח את הילדה שלי ואסחוב אותה על הכתפיים. עד היום אני חושבת לפעמים איך אנחנו שרדנו את כל מה שעברנו שם.
Divinely guided, Mania's family escaped the death march, seeking refuge in a Ukrainian village for as long as they could.
בכפר הזה שהיינו איזה שנתיים, כל פעם נכנס חייל עם רשימה של כמה היהודים האלה, קרא החוצה לבן אדם, שמענו ירייה, כבר לא חזר. נשארו 5 או 6 איש, בדיוק קרה שוב נס. הדלת נפתחה, 2 חיילים מצבא האדום נכנסו פנימה, אמרו, יהודים, אתם משוחררים. הרוסים כבשו את המקום. בזכות זה אתם רואים אותי פה היום.
Mania's resilience and incredible life force is an inspiration to all, especially her family.
עלינו ארצה בשנת 51. ניסיתי והקמתי משפחה לתפארת. אתמול חגגתי יום הולדת ה-90. קשה לי להאמין ששרדתי כל הצרות שאני עברתי בחיים, וברוך השם הגעתי לגיל המופלג הזה שאני בת 90.
המון מזל טוב. אני מאוד אוהבת אותך.
Despite the undeniable reality and horrors of the Holocaust, there are still individuals around the world who deny its occurrence or choose to forget the magnitude of its horrors. Observing the resilience and strength of this remarkable woman who persevered through unimaginable suffering and her 4 proud generations, I find solace in the assurance that the memory of the Holocaust will never fade away. When we talk about Israel's 75-year miraculous history as a modern Jewish state, the conversation has to include the contribution of evangelical Christians. In the 19th century, Christian Zionism was a driving force, and it led to the event that launched the modern state of Israel, the Balfour Declaration, a decision by Lord Balfour, the foreign minister of the UK, an evangelical Christian, that His Majesty the King look with favor upon a national homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine. Evangelical Christians are certainly the largest and most loyal base of support for the Jewish state of Israel. I can think of no one better to my friend and colleague, Joel Rosenberg, to spend a few minutes with us. He has made his home here as a Israel-loving Christian, written many books. Joel, thank you so much for being with us.
Great to be with you. It's an honor. Thank you, David.
Why do evangelical Christians support Israel? Tell me.
There are actually 600 million evangelicals worldwide, which is pretty extraordinary. 60 million evangelicals in the United States, and the vast majority are very pro-Israel. Evangelical Christians believe from Genesis 1:1 to the end of the book of Revelation that all of it is divinely inspired scripture. Therefore, it means that the promises that the God of Israel made to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob are not only real, but they're meaningful. They continue to be in existence. Evangelicals see the rebirth of Israel on May 14th, 1948, as the seminal fulfillment of Bible prophecy. 1967 maybe was even more dramatic.
In the 1967 war, Israel overcame daunting odds, defeating a coalition of Arab states, liberating Jerusalem, and reclaiming their ancestral land, all in 6 days.
The drama of Egypt threatening to throw the Jews in the sea, Egyptians and the Syrians surrounding Israel, and it looked really bleak. God protected this nation, Israel, from its worst enemies in 6 days, and on the seventh day, he and they rested. See, the 6-day war for most evangelicals in the United States became just a shock of excitement of these prophecies are real. We better go study them even more carefully. 1967 was in some ways more impactful because it was also the reunification of this city, of Jerusalem. God has chosen this city for himself. There literally has been no other moment that you could say, wow, for 1900 years, even many church fathers who just didn't get that God literally meant those prophecies from Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and the others, that God would literally rebuild and resurrect the sovereign nation state of Israel and bring the Jews back.
It was given by God to the Jews to make it accessible to all the nations.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where God lives. And God is the God of all people. God is the God of everyone, not just the Jews. And this is where everyone should feel free to come.
One of the things that Israel has done right from day one is to protect and advance religious freedom here in the country and certainly here in this city. But if you go back to 67 and prior, when Jordan controlled half of the city of Jerusalem, there wasn't access for Jews to worship freely. There wasn't access for Christians. They didn't elevate religious freedom. But Israel, from the moment the city was reunified, everybody had an opportunity. And if a Muslim, an Israeli Muslim, a Bahraini Muslim, a Palestinian Muslim, you have the right to worship safely here, and we'll do everything we need to protect that right. That's a big deal.
In 2017, President Trump recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Another huge moment, and for which I'm grateful to him, to you, to Vice President Pence.
Thank you.
My gosh, it was just another huge moment.
In 2018, the U.S. boldly moved its embassy to Jerusalem, reinforcing support for Israel's sovereignty. Most other nations remained in Tel Aviv, despite it not being Israel's true capital. This is what moved me. The second chapter of Isaiah has this beautiful statement about peace coming to the world. Nation will not lift up sword against nation, nor study war anymore. It's actually inscribed on the wall across from the United Nations, right? It doesn't say on the wall how do you achieve that state, but Isaiah does talk about it. He says the nations of the world will come to the mountain of God, that mountain over there.
Right.
God will resolve their differences, and nation will not lift up sword against nation. Now, how does a nation come to Jerusalem? When I was working on this, I was very much inspired by those words. I mean, after all, Jerusalem itself in Hebrew means city of peace, right? Moving our embassy to Jerusalem, in theological terms, was the prescription for peace. I mean, that's a biblical prophecy from 2,800 years ago coming to life.
If you know the scriptures, you cannot help but understand God loves the Jewish people, and this is his city. Christians who stumble on that or struggle with this central issue, I think they're missing something very important. As strong as Israel is today at 75 years in, there are huge threats against us. So if God is for the Jewish people, Satan's against us. That's the heart of anti-Semitism. And evangelicals who get that theologically show unconditional love to the Jewish people and the nation of Israel.
I have the great pleasure of talking with a committed advocate for Israel, a man who has spent his life fostering Christian unity and Jewish sovereignty over the Holy Land. Pastor John Hagee, thank you so much for being with us.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Mr. Ambassador.
Pastor Hagee, a man of many accomplishments, is the founder of Christians United for Israel, the largest pro-Israel organization in the United States, with over 10 million members dedicated to supporting Israel.
On this historic moment, when you think about where Israel began, May 14th, 1948, where they were surrounded by hostile armies, many people in the world didn't think that Israel was going to survive 6 weeks. And here, 75 years later, Israel is one of the most wealthy per capita nations in the face of the earth, is contributing to technology like no other nation on the face of the earth. Israel has a democracy that has survived in a hostile environment for many, many years. Israel is nothing more or less than a geopolitical miracle from the hand of God.
What is it that speaks to you, that drives you to commit so much of your energy and with so much success to help advance the interests of the Jewish people, and in particular, the citizens of Israel?
I believe that the Bible is the inspired word of God. I believe it is true. The Bible begins as being a mandate for the Jewish nation. God said, I will make of you a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great. You're going to be a blessing to the nations of the world. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse those who curse you. And in you shall all the nations of the world be blessed. The 12th chapter of Genesis is one of those crucial chapters in the Bible that structure the history of the world from that moment forward. The history of the world can be decided with, did these people bless and help the Jewish people, or did they punish and persecute the Jewish people? And those who punished and persecuted the Jewish people, God wiped them out. And that's still his policy, and it's going to be his policy in the future.
How much have the events of the last 75 years inspired and encouraged the Christian world to really see the hand of God as it relates to the state of Israel?
When Israel started, replacement theology was the theology of the vast majority of evangelicals. Replacement theology taught that Christianity had replaced the Jewish people in the economy of God. That is not a viable Bible doctrine, because when Israel was born in 1948, people began to say replacement theology is wrong. Replacement theology has systematically passed away as God has blessed and prospered Israel to be the glorious nation that it is today.
But regrettably, anti-Semitism today has reached levels that we haven't seen perhaps in my lifetime or in your lifetime. How do we fight this disease?
First and foremost, Christians should stand with Israel right now in prayer as mandated by King David, saying, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love you. However, our mandate to support Israel does not end there. Christians must become educated about modern biblical Israel. They must read the Bible, know the Jewish nation's history, and be aware of geopolitical truths that surround the Middle East. Once someone understands the Bible history and modern challenges faced by Israel, they can become extremely effective advocates for the righteous cause in their community, in their churches, in their colleges and universities, even in the state and national government.
That's incredibly encouraging. You've given great comfort and aid and support to the people here in Israel who are so grateful to know that they're not alone. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. God bless you in everything that you do.
It's hard to think of anyone who's got a broader perspective than my friend Danny Ayalon. Served as a tank commander and a platoon commander, a distinguished military career in the Israeli Defense Forces, and then went on to become Israeli ambassador to the United States. It's a pleasure to have you here with me, Danny. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, David. It's my honor. Thank you for inviting me. And it's great to be here with you on this nice background of Jerusalem. And I have to start, please, and don't get mad with me that I'm taking over. I think it's my duty to thank you, David, for the bottom of my heart, and all Israelis for what you did for Jerusalem. Actually, you put back Jerusalem on the map. And I say from King David to Ambassador David, there was nobody like you. So we have to thank you for that.
Well, you're very kind. I appreciate it very much. I'm really humbled by those comments. Thank you. So let's talk about Israel and its incredible 75-year history, doing incredible work. It's a little tiny country, Israel, helping the world save lives. Israel doesn't need to do it. They could easily look domestically to their issues. They got a lot of challenges here from enemies all around its borders. But Israel goes out and leads the world in helping others. Why does Israel to this day, 75 years into its existence, fighting all these falsehoods about what it stands for?
Well, David, irrespective of all those detractors of Israel, Israel has a mission, and its DNA is to help humanity, to advance humanity. We take it from the Bible, from our book. We are the people of the book. We take it from the Ten Commandments. We take it from our Jewish sages who say, love your neighbor as yourselves. And this is a mission. This is why you would see Israelis in Haiti, where there is an earthquake, in Turkey, even Iran, which is a sworn enemy of Israel. We have offered help for the Iranians as well. You know, everyone where we can help, we will help.
On May 14th, 1948, David Ben-Gurion recites Israel's Declaration of Independence. 11 minutes later, President Truman recognizes the reborn state of Israel. He commented later that he was sorry he waited that long. And, you know, Israel and the United States have been such essential partners over the years. And I would say that relationship has become much more bilateral in the last 25 years. But you've had a front row seat on all of that as the ambassador to the United States. If you can describe generally, I mean, how important is this relationship and how has it evolved?
Oh, it's immensely important, I believe, for both countries. And again, David, I have to thank you for being one of the co-authors of the Abraham Accord. It's something that even today, one cannot grasp enormity, the importance of these accords, because they have changed the Middle East forever, in the sense that our neighbors, mostly Sunni, moderate Arab countries and regimes, understand that Israel is not their problem, it's the solution.
I had the chance to speak with several senior leaders of both UAE and Bahrain. They all said the same thing. I thought it was very profound. They said the primary battle of the 21st century is really not between nations, it's really between ideologies. The primary battle is between extremism and the moderates. And in their view, the Abraham Accords was important because it helps the moderates win.
Democracy is not just a matter of value. It's also a very, very practical interest. Democracies are much stronger economically, so they make better trade partners, economic investors. This is, I think, what Israel represents. It's a real beacon of democracy.
When I was living in America and I used to come to Israel, I was here for my bar mitzvah in 1971. Our relatives in Israel used to tell us, you know, bring jeans, bring toilet paper, bring toothpaste. You know, it was like basic things that we took for granted in America, bring to Israel. Today, nobody brings anything anymore to Israel. In fact, people probably buy more in Israel and bring it back to the States. It's a first world country. It's got 5 6-star hotels. Tourism is booming. How do you explain it?
I think the dearth of natural resources in Israel was a blessing in disguise. All the countries around us are filled with natural gas and oil. You know, we are such a small speck on the map. You know, the territory of Israel is 1/3 of 1% of the entire Middle East. And this is the only speck on the ground where there is no drop of oil. What did God promise us? He didn't promise us oil. He promised us a state of milk and honey. We have a lot of milk and honey, no oil. Without oil, we had to really harvest our mines. And today, there's no match to Israeli technology. We are very good at economy, military, strategic capabilities, you name it. Interestingly enough, 10 years ago, we found a lot of natural gas, but it's not on the land. It's not on the land. It's on our economic water in the sea. The fact that we have discovered this natural gas only after we have been established as a strong economic and technological power, it did not skew our views of where we want to go.
It's a really interesting point you're making, that, and it does suggest some divine intervention here, that Israel did not become energy independent, which tends to cause countries to limit their focus to just that industry.
I believe that Israel is nothing short of a miracle. I always say Israel was not established 75 years ago. We were established 3,500 years, exactly, right here.
Right over there.
If you look through history, there were the Egyptians who tried to decimate Israelis, and there were the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Greek, the Romans, all the way to these Palestinians and the Iranians. And every time we have triumphed. Nobody can explain that. You know, in 1948, we were about 600,000 to 700,000 Jews here, surrounded by almost 100 million hostile Arab. Not only we survived, we thrived. And what's important is not the span of time, but what do you do with the time? And I think we have used our time well. Faith is the basis of everything.
And tell me how you see the future.
I am very bullish. I am very optimistic. First of all, because I look at history, and we know God always let good prevail.
Fair to say you're a proud Israeli, 75 years into its existence?
Absolutely. I always say, without the state of Israel, I wouldn't be born. My mother is from Poland, my father from Algeria. This is God's prophecy, the gathering of the Jews from four corners of the world, here. So we are here to stay. We will continue to work for His glory and for the alliance between Israel and the United States.
We are honored to conclude our journey with the 11th President of Israel, President Isaac Herzog. Your Excellency, my dear friend.
Absolutely, same here.
Thank you so much for spending a few minutes. I know you're very busy. You come from perhaps the most illustrious family in the state of Israel. Your grandfather was the first Ashkenazi chief rabbi of the state of Israel. Your father was the 6th president of the state of Israel. You're the 11th president of the state of Israel. You have a distinguished military career. I just can't think of anyone that our audience would benefit more from in getting your perspective on Israel at 75. How do you see this great country at its 75th anniversary?
First of all, I love this country. It runs in my veins. My being is serving this nation, and I think it's an incredible nation. In Hebrew, you say, Or Ganuz, and people with a hidden light. We do so much good for the world. We started from scratch, and I was always taught by my late father to look at things in perspective. Because my father, he fought the Nazis. He was a British officer who entered into the concentration camps, and he saw Jews' skeletons, told them, I come from the land of Israel to rescue you, and they thought he's a German in disguise. That was only 80 years ago, and what we've done since then is wondrous. This country is really outstanding. It covers so many fields of great success, and I am a true believer in the eternity of Israel.
Jews have prayed for thousands of years for the right to return to this holy city. My grandparents couldn't have imagined, calling a travel agent and praying at the Western Wall 2 days later. And now the Jews are doing it, but they're also making sure that Christians can come and Muslims can come. What is it about the state of Israel that made it a priority to make holy sites available to all peoples?
So that was done from day one and even before that. So you mentioned that my late grandfather, Rabbi Isaac Halevi Herzog, he was like the Pope. He was the chief rabbi of the land since 1936. And he appeared in front of all international committees before the creation of the state and undertook that all faiths will enjoy full freedom of worship. And thereafter, when the government was created, when the country was created, it reaffirmed it throughout all its declaration. And it's actually a linchpin of our policies towards all other faiths. Moreover that, we are also very proud. We are indeed very proud that the cradle of Christianity is in our country, in the Holy Land. We are very proud of our minorities, and we are proud to have a dialogue with Christianity and with Islam and Druze religion and so forth. Everywhere you walk, you see the Bible. So I think this is something that you absorb when you're here. All of these sites, from Gethsemane to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre to the Old City and to all the sites around, are just thriving, beautiful gardens and sites. Tel Aviv was actually a name invented by Theodor Herzl, Alt Neuland. All the new land, that was Theodor Herzl, the founder and father of Zionism. That's the way we think, is old and new. If you look at our national emblem, you have the menorah, of course, candelabra, which was in the temple, but it's old and new.
Israel at 75, it's an achievement. King David and King Solomon ruled from Jerusalem the entire territory for 73 years. Israel has passed that record. Give our viewers your view and your hopes for the next 75 years.
No, first of all, we have to be very responsible. There are many divisions and arguments in Israel. That's like any other nation. You've got it in the United States and elsewhere. But the real issue that unites us all is that there is a sense of purpose and a sense of mission that drives us forward. I'm a true believer in the future of Israel. I think the way we are approaching so many complicated challenges of humanity, and I identify some challenges that the human race has to look into. How will we supply food in the future? We're already 8 billion human beings around the globe. How will we supply water in the future? Where will we all live? What will we do with new viruses? These are big questions of humanity, and you want to know something? Israel is at the forefront of meeting those challenges all over the world. That's the greatness of this nation, tiny nation, less than 10 million human beings in a sea of 8 billion human beings. And we offer so much good in Tikkun Olam.
It's a blessing of God, there's no question. Well, we're about the same age, so let me leave you with a blessing that I'll renew this interview on Israel's 100th anniversary.
You're done. I think actually we should look up to the 100 and the centenary, and we should celebrate together, David. Done deal.
I'm with you.
And perhaps make peace with more neighbors.
We'll do all those things, God willing, before the 100th anniversary.
Absolutely.
Thank you, President Herzog. Thank you so much. This little country of Israel punches way above its weight and is so blessed by our Creator. It is a country built on biblical values by God's original people of the book, and it is a place where the Bible is lived, not just studied, every single day. With the founding of the modern state of Israel 75 years ago, Zionist leaders adapted Judeo-Christian values into working principles of freedom and democracy. It is miraculous how much modern Israel has achieved in its relatively short history. I have no doubt that as Israel moves forward to its centennial anniversary, there will be more miracles, more revelations, more innovations, more discoveries, and more acts of kindness. All this will be achieved because Israel has not just conquered its enemies, but because love has defeated hate. This is David Friedman, and I hope you've enjoyed this special feature, Israel at 75. May God bless you all.
Hey, I'm Mati Shoshani, and thank you for watching the TBN Israel YouTube channel. We hope this video gave you greater understanding of Israel and her people. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. We'd love to hear from you, so be sure to share what you've learned and ask your questions in comments below. And invite your friends to join the conversation.